Now, this video is going to piss a lot of people off, and I say that because we're discussing what I think a luxury watch is. Now, this is going to be controversial because people are going to, well, let's do something real quick. Let's do a thought experiment. What I want you to do is close your eyes. I want you to close your eyes, and I want you to imagine what you think a luxury watch is. I want a brand, a shape, a name of a luxury watch to pop into your head. I can tell you that most people watching this video, it's going to be, of course, a Rolex, right? That's what everybody thinks a luxury watch is, even though I'm going to argue that the Casio could also be considered a luxury watch. Now, again, this is going to ruffle a lot of feathers, but that's okay. That's what we're here for in the community, to have these discussions. So let's hop right into the video. Now, with that thought experiment in the beginning, the reason why most people watching this channel is because most people watching this channel collect more affordable watches. In the lower class and middle class, people who maybe just started collecting watches think that Rolex is the pinnacle of luxury design. However, if you've been collecting watches for quite a while and you close your eyes and you think of a luxury brand, it may be a Patek Philippe, it may be a Greubel Forsey, right? Which not a whole lot of people talk about. It could be one of these, it could be an FP Journe, it could be one of these obscure, smaller watch brands that have high horology, wonderful materials being used, and a unique overall design. Now, if you don't collect watches at all, you may close your eyes and you may see a Citizen or a Casio or even an Apple Watch, which I know is hilarious because an Apple Watch is not a luxury watch. However, some people spend upwards of $1,000 on an Apple Watch, which is considered an entry-level luxury Swiss watch. So the reason I'm doing this video is because I've been around the block a time or two when it comes to watch collecting and watch reviews. I've been on the internet, on YouTube, for like 6-7 years now. I've done over 450 independent watch reviews for watches that mostly I've purchased at my own dime. So I think that I can kind of give my opinion on what I think a luxury watch is. Now, I'm going to argue that a luxury watch is not what most people think. Now, we're going to be discussing income levels and watch collecting, and then you'll kind of start to see the picture that I'm painting for you on why any watch, and I'm going to argue this right up front, any watch can be considered a luxury watch. It could be a $10 Casio. It could be a $1 million Richard Mille. It depends on the person. So if you think of luxury, you think it has to be precious metals, it has to be branded by a prestigious brand, and maybe it has to have an in-house movement. This is where people argue that Hublot is not a luxury watch because for a long time they used ETA movements, and they used like lower end ETA movements and watches that were tens of thousands of dollars, and they're not in-house, where you can buy a Rolex that uses an in-house caliber movement, and their lower end Oyster Perpetual watches that start about $6,000. So people can argue that, well, maybe a luxury watch has to have an in-house movement. Well, a lot of people will also argue that in-house movements aren't necessarily the best thing to put in a watch. An ETA movement has a proven track record of reliability, whereas an in-house movement that's been designed and then thrown into a watch may not have a track record of reliability, has issues in the design, flaws that come out over time that you don't really realize. So you can argue back and forth, in-house versus non-in-house. That's not what this is about. Now, what I want to discuss when it comes to luxury watches, like I said, depends on the person. I'm going to explain this as simply as I can when it comes to what I think a luxury watch is. A luxury watch is something that is slightly or far out of what we can afford on a day-to-day basis. A $10 Casio that I can go and buy at Walmart every single day and it really doesn't affect my bottom line isn't really a luxury watch. If I was worth $1 billion and I could go out and spend $10,000 every single day on a Rolex, it doesn't really affect me. And in that case, it's not really a luxury watch. So for me, I'm arguing that it depends on the person and it depends on kind of what your overall perception is of your own certain lifestyle. If I was someone who made $30,000 a year and I busted my butt working 2 jobs, maybe to get myself up to $40,000 a year, maybe $45,000, $50,000 a year, so I'm lower end of the middle class, and I'm working, I'm struggling to survive, and I really want this $100 Casio G-Shock, and I have to work hard, put money away, and then save for months, and then finally I'm able to pull the trigger, and I'm able to buy this watch. To me, that is a luxury item. That is a luxury item, a luxury watch that I was able to save for, I was able to strive after, and then put money aside for, and then I was able to reward myself with all the hard work. That is a luxury item to me. I don't need a watch on the wrist. Everybody has a cell phone. A watch is a luxury item. On the same instance, on the opposite side, like I explained, if I was worth hundreds of millions of dollars, is a watch a luxury to me to own? If I spend $20,000 on a Rolex Daytona and I didn't feel the impact on it, is it really something that's a luxury to me? So for me, it depends on the type of way that you value your money, if that makes any sense. So luxury in very high upper echelon of society normally comes down to not necessarily how much the watch is, but how easily obtainable the watch is to get. If you have a limited edition Richard Mille that you can't just buy, now that becomes a luxury item lusted on by the ultra wealthy. Really, it's all comparable when it comes to income levels. The ultra rich go for the ultra luxury that we could never even think to obtain, but they're really battling for the special edition things that they can't just go out and buy. And then the stuff that we couldn't even spend our whole life trying to acquire, like an Audemars Piguet, Royal Oak, or something like that, they could easily go out and buy and pay a premium price for, and it doesn't really affect them. So all I'm saying is that when it comes to watch snobbery, this type of stuff really has to be reined in a little bit, because people want to argue back and forth in, is Tudor a luxury watch? Is Tissot a luxury watch? You know, Richard Mille, should they be considered a luxury watch? Right? Hublot, should Hublot be considered a luxury watch? And I'm arguing that they're all luxury watches depending on the person purchasing the watch. We have to really get outside this watch snobbery that is across the internet, because if I tell you that, you know, I want a Pagani design homage of a Rolex because I just can't afford the Rolex, but I love the look of it, and Pagani design may be higher quality for the price, and if I can pick something up, an automatic watch with full stainless steel and a sapphire crystal, and it has the look of an Oyster Perpetual, and it's $120, and that's all I can afford, and I worked hard for it, great. At least I'm wearing a wristwatch. At least I can appreciate the fact that I like the design. I waited and got the automatic because I like the fact that it's a mechanical movement, and there's something just about having a mechanical timepiece on your wrist, something that you can either wind to keep it alive, or the movement of your wrist keeps it alive. There's just something romantic about that. And if you're going to do all of that to buy your watch and you save for that, then that is a luxury to that person. And just the watch snobbery, like I keep saying, that goes around the internet. You have these people that want to argue about what a luxury watch is, but they're all coming from points of contention of things that don't even necessarily matter. You have people who are arguing that a Hublot is not a luxury watch who could never afford a Hublot. But if they were given the opportunity to buy one at an actual Hublot, let's just say a Hublot Big Bang ceramic, something that's $60,000, if they were able to have this watch that they keep putting down because it's Hublot, and they were able to buy it for $800, but they couldn't resell it, but they could have the watch for the rest of their life, I bet you they'd all pull the trigger. Because it's a perception, right? It's, well, if you could afford to spend $60,000 on this watch, you must be wealthy. So people are arguing about things that they can't even ever acquire. And really, we all just need to stay in our own wheelhouse. I'm an affordable watch YouTuber who looks at affordable watches because most people can't afford the ultra luxury watches. So in that end, to me, if I go out and buy a Tissot PRX Powermatic 80, that is to me a luxury watch. It doesn't matter what I own. I own a Rolex Kermit, but I bought it 13 years ago, 12 years ago at this point. I would never be able to afford another one today. You know, things change. right? Things are more important in life. It's more important for me to go buy a house than it is to go buy a watch. So to me, when it comes down to luxury watches, to kind of circle back around and wrap this thing up, to me, when it comes to luxury watches, it depends on the individual. I always say that a luxury item, it doesn't matter what it is, to be considered a luxury item is simply something that's slightly out of our affordability and something we have to work towards, strive for, so that we can then reward ourselves with what we consider a luxury. If that makes any sense. Anyway, thanks for stopping by. I have a lot of videos coming out in the future. I'm trying to release a video every day to every 2 days. It's been about every 2 days at this point. It's just hard to get in the studio because I work a full-time job doing doubles as a cop here in Alaska. Love that you guys stopped by. If you've made it this far, hit the subscribe button. It's free. Really does help the channel. Hit the like button. And I will see you guys in the next one.